New 72 Radio, the voice, views, and visions of the collective.
And I am your host for Waking the Spirit. This is a show that airs every other Thursday at 7 p.m. on this same station, this same channel. We're pretty consistent there. Tonight, well, let me backtrack. So typically the show is, I'm talking about spirituality from a beginner's perspective, but tonight I am hijacking my own show to talk about technology. So with all of that said, we'll get into that in a minute. So this show is produced by New 72 Media, and Kelly Lair is the amazing producer working behind the scenes. And so I want to take this opportunity to say thank you, Kelly, for all you do behind the scenes to make this show happen, including emailing me my link to the show right before I needed it. So I can never find that link. I don't know why, but so grateful to you, Kelly, for sending me that link. With that said, a few logistics. If you are listening in or watching the live video, feel free at any time to raise your hand if you have any questions. There is a control. I'm not sure if it's at the top or the bottom, but you have the ability to raise your hand and ask questions at any time. So with that said, so let me get into the meat of what I want to talk about tonight. So I own and operate a business called Computer Diva, for those of you who don't know. And I have owned this business for 8 years now. It's probably been almost 8.5 years. I've got my first customer. It was December of 2008. And I was at a holiday party in a restaurant, and oh, Kelly just sent me a message. Hold on, hold that thought. So in the upper left-hand corner, you have the option of raising your hand or asking a question. And she says, enjoy the program. So thank you, Kelly. She's on top of it. So December of 2008, I was at a holiday party. It was in a restaurant. There were a ton of people there, and I happened to be sitting next to a woman, and we were talking about what our respective jobs were. So I was telling her I was in the technology business. Back then I had a day job. And so she said, well, that's interesting. I'm looking for somebody to fix my computer. So we exchanged phone numbers, set up an appointment. I went to her house a couple of days later, got her computer all fixed up. And that was the birth of a business. I hadn't even thought of running my own business at that point, but I thought, wow, it's pretty easy to get customers. So maybe I should do this. So I gradually built up my customer base. It took me 3 months to get customer number 2, but I did, and it was awesome. And then customers sort of trickled in for the next 1.5 years until I departed my day job and started running my business full time. Took me a couple of years to build it to the point where I was making money instead of losing money. So that was an experience, but I've been at it full-time now for 6 years, and full-time and part-time for 8.5 years. So I'm very, very grateful for this business, and I love what I do, and I've seen a lot in the past 8.5 years. So one of the things I have noticed in the past 8.5 years is that there's a pattern going on. And the pattern is getting worse. And I would have to say at this point in time, the entire planet is in a technology crisis. There are bad things out there happening in terms of technology. And it's been ramped up in 2016. It's getting bad. It's getting dangerous. And it's computer security is no joke. It's not a laughing matter, and it needs to be taken very seriously. And it's to the point now where there is so much that you have to remember and that you have to think of in terms of securing your computer that the average user is kind of clueless as to how to deal with it. So I'm going to give you some examples as we go through the show tonight. So what I've been seeing throughout the life of my business is I do a lot of work fixing and repairing computers in terms of viruses and malware. And I'm going to use the word malware. And that is going to be an overall umbrella that will encompass viruses, spyware, adware, all of that stuff all comes under the malware umbrella. So I'm going to use the word malware to describe it all. So with that said, I've seen a huge ramp up in malware in the past 6 to 12 months. And it's getting worse. So examples of malware. So you can get malware mostly through websites. That's the major place where you will get malware. And there are, well, let me backtrack there. So mild forms of malware you can get through regular software updates on your computer. Java has notoriously been one of those software programs where it will pop up for you to install an update. And just so you know, Java is a browser plugin, and it is used to deliver specific types of content off of a website. And a lot of websites are programmed with little bits of Java, and pieces of that website won't work unless you have the Java plugin installed on your computer. So because Java is everywhere, it is in your computer, it's in your toaster, it's in your microwave oven, it's in your refrigerator, it's in your car, it's everywhere. So the hackers of the world have decided that Java is a great piece of software to exploit and find holes in it where they can put their little malicious pieces of software, malware, into into your computer using holes in Java. So Java is constantly being updated to plug security holes. So that's why you get all those little updates at the lower right-hand corner of your screen to update your Java. So it used to be, up until extremely recently, that when you updated Java, the installation screen would pop up, and as you click next to go through the install wizard, there was always at least one screen that said, oh, by the way, we're also installing something else. Aren't we nice? It's always something different. A lot of times it's something that is perfectly mild and won't harm your system, like the Google Chrome browser. A lot of times it's going to be the Ask toolbar, which is nothing but trouble. You don't want the Ask toolbar on your system. A lot of times it's a McAfee security scan, a little piece of antivirus software that is, you know, you think it's supposed to be antivirus software, but the piece that they're actually installing, in my mind, is actually a piece of malware. So there's a lot of others that they will install, but those are the main ones. And I caution you when you're doing these updates to look for those screens, and there's always a box you can uncheck to say, I don't want that software on my system. So, and then you can go on with the wizard. But it was interesting, the past 2 times I've installed Java on my computer, and tonight was one of them. I went through the Java install just to see what it does now. And a couple of weeks ago I did it. It was not adding on any additional software at all, which I was shocked. And the reason they add on that software is because they're paid to push that software out. So, you know, Google will pay them to push out Chrome. Whoever is behind the Ask toolbar, the Ask company, ASK, they will pay Java to push their software out. McAfee will pay Java to push their software out. And so it's money for them. They don't care that they're putting dangerous stuff on your computer, which in my mind is just, it's immoral. It's you know, it's wrong. So the other software update that will do the same thing is Adobe. So when you do an Adobe Reader update or an Adobe Flash update, there will always be, and it's always the very first screen, and it's right in the center, and I don't remember what the wording is, additional software or whatever it is, but it always will list what it's going to install, and there's a check box to uncheck to say, I don't want that software, before you click on next in the wizard. So this is a common way that additional pieces of software will get on your system. In my mind, if you need to do a Java update or an Adobe update, it's best to go straight to their website. Go to adobe.com and click on menu up at the top towards the right-hand side, and then a screen will pop up, and you can choose from Adobe Reader, Adobe Flash, I believe Air is in there, and there might be one or two other things, which I can't remember. Always update from the source, and do the same thing with Java. Even if the boxes pop up in the lower right-hand corner, ignore those boxes, open up your browser, go to java.com or adobe.com, and install the update from there, and look for those screens with the checkboxes. There's another way that malicious software gets on your system, and I think I'm going to try and share my screen. Hopefully I can do this, and I'm going to choose the right area here. Let's see. Here we go. And I'm going to click there. Share my screen. I am going to go. So I'm going to paint a little picture here and kind of tell you a story about what could happen. And hopefully we're still live here. I don't see the video camera with my little mug face on it, but Kelly will let me know if we're not. So anyway, so a lot of people have been doing Windows 10 updates, which is a whole nother story I'll get into in a minute. But so they do the Windows update, and then things aren't working right, and they know just enough to know that, hey, maybe my drivers need to be updated, but they don't know where to go to get the drivers. So they'll open up a web page, they'll go to Google, and they'll say, oh, I think I want to do a driver update. So let's click down here in the search, driver update. We hit enter. So what pops up in the list is one of the things you want to look for is, first of all, look for results that have ads. They're actually an ad. And you can tell if it has an ad and you're looking for a driver update, that the very first one is always going to come up here, driverupdate.net, and it's not good. But I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to show you what happens. And no message from Kelly, so I guess we're okay. So you go here and it says, oh my God, Windows 10 drivers. That's exactly what I need. I'm going to download. So you click on Start Download. And I'm using Google Chrome. So with Chrome, the file always downloads in the lower left-hand corner. If you are using Firefox, there's always a little arrow up here that will start to flash green, and you'll click on it and you'll see the file. Internet Explorer, I really don't download anything from Internet Explorer. I really don't use it. I don't use Edge, which is the Windows 10 version of Internet Explorer. But I think, if I recall from Internet Explorer, there's a little bar that pops up down on the bottom to either run or save. So now I've got my little file download here, and I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to show you what happens, and hopefully you can see this. Okay, all right. Thank you, Kelly. So, curious to know if I have a driver update install window, Kelly. Can you see that? That part we cannot see. Okay, so, darn it. I was hoping you guys could see this. Kelly, is there any way to share my entire desktop instead of just a window? Nope, those aspects are blocked. Okay, yes, I'm going to cancel the install wizard. But at any rate, oh, I was really hoping to show you that. Maybe in a future show I can do some screenshots for you. I wasn't totally prepared on that. But anyway, what happens is as you go through that install wizard, it's very similar to the Adobe and the Java, where it will pop up a screen, and the difference on this one is the screen will pop up and it looks like a lot of licensing information that you're accepting, and somewhere on that screen it will show, oh, we're also going to install Slim Cleaner, but instead of unchecking a box, you have to either accept or decline. So most people think they're accepting license information. They click on accept, they go through the wizard. Now all of a sudden, not only do they have Slim Cleaner on their system, but there's probably a whole host of other things that was involved in that package. It's a huge payload of malware. And then all of a sudden, the user discovers that, oh my God, I've got all this stuff on my system. I have no clue where it came from. I didn't do anything. I hear that story over and over and over again. So it's really, really interesting how that works. So in comes me. They call me and they say, can I, I don't know what happened, but can you clean this up? And so Mary, Computer Diva, to the rescue. And it takes a while to clean that stuff up. So I am going to stop sharing this screen, Kelly, and I'm assuming that I'm going to click on the stop share to the right of my ID number at the top. I want to make sure I'm not stopping the sharing of the entire show, because I can't, oh, wait a minute, here we go, yeah. Yay, I did it right. Okay, so so the bottom line here is I see this kind of stuff happening all the time, where people are downloading software onto their computer. They think they're doing the right thing, but they really are not sure. And all of a sudden their computer is full of malware. And what happens with this malware, number one, it will slow your computer down. Software will start working erratically. It will be sometimes a little jerky, sometimes it won't work at all. Things will slow down extremely slow, and it will just become pretty much unworkable. Sometimes they start to get a lot of pop-ups on the screen. See that all the time. And so then it takes quite a bit of time to clean all of that up. My usual malware cleanup time can be anywhere, on a mild case, from 30 minutes to an hour, hour and a half. If it goes longer than that, then we've got a serious issue, and sometimes it takes drastic measures, such as re-imaging the computer and reloading your software and reloading your data, and hopefully you've backed up your data. Those are rare instances, though. I did have a case of that this week, where I did the full virus cleanup. This was back on January 2nd, where I did the full virus cleanup, and got a call from the client last week. And they said, since you did that cleanup, things still aren't right. It was running perfectly for about 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden, the stuff came back. And why they waited until now to actually call me and tell me, I don't know. But whatever's on their system now is embedded so deep that none of my tools in my toolkit will actually clean it up. So we are going to have to re-image, and we will reinstall the software from the recovery drive. And the client is actually going out in the next couple of days to get the backup drive, because they haven't backed up any of their data. So they're going to have to back that up first, then we'll do a re-image. So, I spend a good amount of time doing this type of work, where it's cleaning up after malware, it's cleaning up after stuff that the client has put on their computer inadvertently. They're not aware that they're doing it, and it's getting to the point now where it's becoming critical. And in the past 6 months, and well, actually in the past, I'd say 2 years, there has been a new strain of malware out there, and it's called ransomware. and I've blogged about it. I've talked about it on Facebook. I think I've done a video or two about it and posted it on my YouTube page. But what ransomware does is it will, once it gets on your computer, it will pop up a screen. It will take over your entire screen, and it will say, okay, we have now taken over your computer and we have encrypted all of your data. And you can only get that data back and unencrypted if you go to whatever store, Walgreens, wherever, and buy this little debit type card or pay in Bitcoin. And once you put the little debit card number in the screen here, we will unencrypt your data and give it back to you. Well, you know, here's the story with this, and here's the bad news about this. You know, there's a lot of people out there who have paid the ransom and never gotten their data unencrypted. Some people have gotten their data back, but the deal is they give you about 72 hours to pay the ransom, which I think the going rate right now for the first round of the ransom request is about $500. If you don't do it within 72 hours, they'll give you another 24, 48, 72 hours, whatever it is that they decide to do. But they're going to up the price. They're going to up the ante. And I've seen, you know, upwards of $1,200, $1,400, $1,500 for that second round of ransomware. You don't want to be caught in this situation. It's bad, it's nasty, and it's extremely difficult to clean up from. So what you need to know about the people who make malware is that it's typically organized crime, and most of it originates from Eastern Europe. So organized crime, I mean, these people are criminals. They're not good guys. They are out there to make a buck, and they're out there to make a big buck, obviously, on the ransomware. And you cannot trust anything they tell you. Even if you pay the ransom, there is absolutely no guarantee that you will get your data back. So in 2016, the cases and the different strains of ransomware has exponentially increased. It is floating around everywhere. I think I've only dealt with one or two so far in 2016, which is pretty good. I had, one of them was one of my commercial clients, and one of the users in the office got an email. It looked like a legitimate email. It had an attachment, and so the attachment was opened up, and pretty soon, you know, the screen popped up and said, we're holding you for ransom, and then it started infecting the server, and we were able to clean it up. It took a couple of days, and it was a lot of work, and it was expensive for the client. So, and I had a similar case probably about a year and a half ago at another commercial client. Same exact thing. Got an email, opened up the attachment, it infected the user's computer, and then it moved on to the server. And the only thing that saved us in both of these cases was that we had good backups in place. We had a really good backup program. On the second case this year, we found a hole in our backup routine, but luckily we were able to plug that hole and fix it and recover the data that hadn't been backed up. So it was a learning experience. And so anyway, what I'm saying is that malware and ransomware, it's serious stuff. And I'm at the point in my business where I'm spending a lot of time cleaning up after this stuff. And I know that it all could be avoided by utilizing common sense, by having a regular routine of cleaning up your computer, by having a regular routine of keeping all of your software up to date. So with that said, how are we doing for time here? We're good with time. So I've been kind of thinking about this for a while now, and thinking about, you know, what is it that I can do to prevent this? for 8 years now, I have been sending emails to my customers, newsletters. I post stuff on Facebook about what not to do and what to do. Every time I visit a client and we talk about computer cleanup, I go over what to do when you're updating your software. I go over the fact that your software needs to be updated. You need to have strong antivirus software. You need to keep your computer clean, keep all the software up to date, yada, yada, yada. But it's really hard for people to do that. And I get it. I really get it. It's not easy to look at a pop-up on your screen and say, is it okay to do this? And where is that list that Mary gave me of software that I can update? And it's usually stuffed in a drawer somewhere, not able to be found. So people, they don't do it. I put tools on everybody's computers that I work with. I always put Malwarebytes on there, which is one of the best software packages out there to clean up your computer when you think it has malware on it. It will find whatever is on there. It's really good. I've only found a couple of instances, a couple of cases where Malwarebytes hasn't done it, and I've had to dive deep into my other tech tools to get rid of the malware. I always put CCleaner on a customer's system, and I instruct them on how to use it, how to clean up all your temporary files on a regular basis. I go through every time I look at a computer, I work on a computer, I look at the list of software that will be loaded and running in the background every time you reboot your computer. A lot of the malware resides in the background and starts running whenever you boot up your computer. So we go through all of that. And, then it's a couple of months later, I'm back at that client's computer fixing it because they haven't done their routine maintenance. And like I said, I totally get it. I totally understand that people don't want to do this maintenance. They just want their computer to work. And I want it to work. And I want to work on fun projects for my customers. I want to go out there and help them implement new technology, help them use their technology more effectively. I want to do that kind of stuff. It's getting weary cleaning up after the bad guys, cleaning up after organized crime. And it breaks my heart when I see the pop-up windows on a client's computer, and it will say, okay, your computer has been infected with 50 gazillion pieces of malware, and you need to call this 800 number to get it all cleaned up. And so I actually had a case of that last night where I had a customer who got the pop-up screen. He was an elderly gentleman, really nice man, but he got the pop-up and it was designed to scare him, and it scared him. And a lot of these pop-ups, not only will they pop up on the screen, but then they're programmed to start flashing. And then they'll start beeping at you and buzzing at you, and sirens are blaring, and you panic and you think, oh my God, what am I going to do? And you look at the screen and it says, call this number. So they immediately pick up the phone and they call that number. I'm going to unplug here for just a second and open my office door because my dog is whining at the door. I will be right back. Okay. Sorry about that. Put my headset back on. One more minute. Oh, the joy of doing a radio program in your home office when you have pets. Sorry about that. So of course he picked up the phone and he called the 800 number, and they said, oh yeah, your computer is in dire straits. It's, we need to clean it up now before something really bad happens. And so of course the first thing that they asked him for was a credit card, and he gave them the credit card, and they charged him $500. $500 to clean up a computer is robbery. It's exorbitant. It's, there's no way any computer cleanup job would cost that kind of money. My average job for malware cleanup will range anywhere from 80 to 120, maybe sometimes $140. It depends on how much time it takes, but that's kind of the ballpark that I will charge for a job like that. Sometimes it will go, maybe 160, a couple hours worth of work. But $500, you can go out and buy a brand new computer for $500. So, so then, he gave them his credit card number, and the next thing that happens is they talk him into letting them into his computer. Obviously, there's no other way they can fix it. So he lets them into his computer, and, they start behind the scenes without his knowledge, start installing stuff that will kind of, track what he's doing and just damage his computer. So I got involved, and the first thing he had to do yesterday morning, I guess, was call his bank and reverse the charges on the credit card. Happens all the time. The banks will gladly do this for you. And so then I got into his computer last night and totally cleaned it up. And it luckily for him, it wasn't a bad infection. I spent about an hour and a half cleaning it up. I did a total cleanup, a total tune-up. His computer now really, really hums nicely. So, so the deal is never, ever call the phone numbers that are in pop-up windows on your computer. They all go back to those people in Eastern Europe, the organized crime. You may be talking to a call center in India. You may be talking to a call center in the Far East somewhere. They've got them all over the place. But the origins of most of this malware goes back to Eastern Europe and organized crime. So you're just putting money in their pockets. So anyway, so like I said, I've been thinking a lot about this, and a couple of weeks ago, I was on the internet, and don't ask me what kind of led me to do this research. It was probably a message from Spirit, where they just, they do that all the time with me. They have me, explore different avenues, different websites, what have you. So anyway, I went down this rabbit hole of exploration on various websites, and I thought, I need to figure out if there's a way where we can remedy this and keep people's computers clean without me going out or connecting to computers remotely and manually running all of these routines on a regular basis. There just aren't enough hours in the day to take care of everybody's computer that way. So there must be some technology tools out there that I can use to make this happen. So what I found, I found some really awesome tools, and I have figured out a way to put these tools together and offer a package of software to my clients that will, we load just a small piece of software on your computer, and it does several things for you. So what it will do is we provide you with your antivirus software. And the antivirus software of choice is Kaspersky Internet Security. So if you utilize this software package that I have, we automatically give you the Internet Security software. So it does weekly scans on your computer. I've got it set up right now to do scans on Sundays. So it's really kind of non-intrusive. And so the other thing we offer is Malwarebytes, the software package that I talked about earlier, that will go out and find malware that has already made its way onto your system. Because no antivirus or internet security package can keep everything off your system. And like I said earlier, a lot of this malware gets onto the system because you have allowed it on by doing these software updates that piggybacks this software onto your system. So we put Malwarebytes on your system, and we set it up to do weekly scans and to eliminate whatever it finds. So that's two things right there. You have your internet security, and you have the Malwarebytes to get rid of anything that happens to get onto your system. The other thing that we do is we make sure all of your Windows updates are installed on a regular basis as soon as they are released. And the beauty of this is, okay, so the Windows updates, really, really important that they get installed when they're released. Now, with Windows 10 kind of forces you to do Windows updates. Windows 8, 8.1, Windows 7, Windows Vista. Hopefully nobody is still using Vista out there. But you always had the choice of whether or not to install updates. Well, with Windows 10, you don't really have the choice. It's just pushed out onto your system. Microsoft is wanting to make sure that everybody patches their system, so they're no longer giving us a choice. But on other versions of Windows, you do have the choice. So what happens with the software tools I'm using is all of those software updates are pre-screened, and we deny software updates to those non-essential pieces of software that don't need to be on your system. It's like Microsoft. They push out the Bing toolbar. Every once in a while in a software update, you'll see, Bing toolbar is an optional update. You don't need the Bing toolbar. So it's just bloatware and makes your browser run a little bit slower. So we don't even allow that to be installed in your system. So we manage the software updates. The other thing that we do is the CCleaner software that I talked about earlier. We also include that, and it runs in the background. You don't even see it on your system. But right now I've got that scheduled to run weekly on the computers that are enrolled in this program. And it deletes all those temporary internet files, and it keeps your computer clean and running a little bit faster than if you were bloated with all of those temporary internet files. And then the other thing we do is we update third-party software, like the Java, the Adobes. There's a list of 111 software packages that we could potentially keep up to date on your computer. So the beauty of this is, it's the fact that in order to keep the malware off your system, you need to keep your software up to date. So the Windows updates, the third-party software, we keep those up to date for you. We will run those regular malware scans, regular virus scans, and eliminate anything that's find its way onto your system. And there's a whole host of other things that we can do with this. But what I love about this software product offering is the fact that, for just a small monthly fee, all of your computer maintenance is taken care of for you. And in my operational panel, my control panel, where I can see all the computers, I can schedule everything automatically. I can see which computers haven't been patched yet. I can see which computers recently had a malware infection that was removed by Malwarebytes. I can see if, for some reason, antivirus software has become disabled. I can see just about everything that's going on behind the scenes in your computer. And don't get me wrong, I can't see what you're doing on the computer. So don't worry about that. I have no interest in seeing what anybody does on their computer. But it also gives me the ability to remote into your computer if a fix needs to be made from your computer, or if you have something that needs to be done, I can remote in and take care of it for you. So I'm really hoping that this software package will keep your computers up to date and malware free, and that you can just stop worrying about what's going on with your computer, and I could stop fixing your computer because it's become infected with malware. So it's a really cool little program, and I've done a lot of work on this behind the scenes to get it ready. And in June, I'm actually piloting it right now on about 12 computers. And in June, I'm hoping to add about 20 or 25 computers, test pilots. And if anybody is interested in doing that, let me know. First come, first serve. I've already got several people who have indicated an interest. So it's kind of filling up. And and probably mid-July, we'll have the formal launch for the software. And it is so exciting because I'll be able to really, really help my clients stay out of danger in terms of their computers. And I'll be able to do all this maintenance behind the scenes. It's all automated. I have to oversee the process, but everything is automated. So there's really not a whole lot of human intervention necessary for this, which when you get humans involved, things are going to fall through the cracks. So this is a totally automated system. So with that said, more information will be coming soon. The name of the product is called DivaCare, and haven't really determined pricing yet, but it's going to be extremely, extremely affordable, and I will let you guys know when that's available. So with that said, let's talk about Windows 10. Windows 10. So Windows 10 has kept me extremely busy the past 2 weeks. So here's what's going on. So last July 29th, Microsoft releases Windows 10, and they made it available for free to anyone who had Windows 7, Windows 8, or Windows 8.1. And it was a free download. You downloaded it and installed it on your computer, and everybody's happy. You get it for free. And they're offering it for free for 1 year. So July 29th of this year, they will stop making it available for free, which I wish they would have done a long time ago. But at any case, at any rate, what happened is then they started escalating things for a couple of reasons. Number one, they really truly do want to get everybody on the same software platform for a lot of reasons. Of course, being on the latest software platform gives you more security, and it's easier to really maintain and update that software. They really do want to get everybody onto Windows 10. They also want to be reporting to the industry that, look, we've got 5 gazillion people on Windows 10. Look how popular it is. But the only reason it's so popular is because they're pushing it onto everybody's computer. So I think everybody sees through that little tactic. So then they started, the process of putting little pop-up windows on your computer saying, hey, Windows 10 is available. Hey, we've downloaded most of the software already on your computer. So when you want to pull the trigger and install it, boom, the software is there. It'll be a quick install. Everything's hunky-dory. There's no problems. Well, that's okay. A lot of people have done that. And I happen to like Windows 10. I really, really like Windows 10. But I also feel that you should have the option of deciding when you want to install a new software package on your system. You shouldn't be forced into it. So one of the issues with Windows 10 is that after you upgrade your computer, there's usually drivers that you have to install and update. One of the most popular drivers that really don't make the transition from Windows 7 or 8 up to Windows 10 is your printer driver. So, of course, I took you to the website for driver update, and so a lot of people go that route. And I say you need to go to the manufacturer's website to get your drivers. So if you have an HP printer, you need to go to the HP website and download the appropriate driver for your computer. Windows 10, 32 or 64-bit. I don't think there's much of a 32-bit market for Windows 10, but there are some 32-bit computers out there who are being upgraded to Windows 10. So hopefully there's not too many people out there running a 32-bit computer. So So the drivers need to be updated and installed. Printers are the biggest issue. What else have I seen? I worked on an instance this morning. Oh, this is a really interesting one. I hadn't seen this before, but so a client's computer got upgraded to Windows 10 a couple of weeks ago, and she has had email issues ever since. And ironically, she has an MSN email address, which is Microsoft, and she was using Windows Live Mail. Again, Microsoft software. But Microsoft has decided to discontinue their Windows Live Mail software program, and but they're not doing a very good job of notifying their users of it. So, this poor customer of mine hasn't been able to use her email for 2 weeks. I finally got the call, and we had to install a different email package. So interestingly enough, we tried to use the built-in mail app on Windows 10. It kind of crashed. So, and I'm not a fan of that built-in mail app. I just don't like it. And so we actually ended up downloading a third-party package and setting up her email and trying to make the screens look very similar to what she had in Windows Live Mail. Exported her contacts and imported those into the new software package. So, that was kind of a new one. So that had to be dealt with. So I kind of got off track here. So Microsoft, they were doing a little pop-up windows. Hey, we've downloaded the software, install at your leisure, at your time frame. Then they got more aggressive and they said, okay, all right, so we've pre-downloaded the software for you. And so now we're going to schedule your upgrade. So people started getting these little pop-up boxes that say, we're going to schedule, would you like to install? And I think people don't read everything on the screen, and they click yes, or sometimes they've clicked no. They've been smart, but they click yes, thinking they're just closing the screen, and now they've agreed for a scheduled date of Wednesday at 8 a.m. And that day they wake up, they go to their computer, and all of a sudden Windows 10 is there instead of Windows 7 or Windows 8. And it's very, very disconcerting for folks. Nobody likes to wake up and find out that their computer has been completely altered without their knowledge. Microsoft has been a little bit sneaky about that. So we got through all of that, and then about 2 weeks ago, I think it was actually on May 12th, Microsoft decided, okay, we're gonna push the envelope even further. And we are going to say, for all those computers out there where the Windows updates are set to receive the optional updates, the recommended updates, as well as the critical updates, if you've got that little recommended updates box checked, which most computers do, I always uncheck it when I install a computer. But if that box is checked, they are going to push that software onto your computer. They're not going to ask. They're not going to warn you. They're not going to tell you. All of a sudden, you're just going to wake up one day, and now Windows 10 is on your computer. And I tell you, the shit hit the fan with that one. And I'm sorry for my language, but the shit hit the fan with that one. And it took a lot of people by surprise, took a lot of people off guard, and it has kept me extremely busy. In about 4 or 5 cases in the past couple of weeks, the client has said, no, I want to go back to Windows 7. I don't want Windows 10 on my computer. So luckily, Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, has put a rollback feature in Windows 10 that says you have 30 days to roll back to your previous operating system if you don't want to be running Windows 10. And it's really simple to do. There's a menu item for it in the recovery area, and it will roll you back to exactly where your computer was before it did the update. It's actually pretty quick too. I think it took, in the cases that I did, it was maybe 20 to 30 minutes for the rollback, and then it was just a matter of checking to make sure everything was working okay. I did a couple of those jobs in under an hour, so which is pretty amazing. But after 30 days, they delete that directory that has your old operating system on it, so you can't roll back. But know that you can roll back if you want to. So, so for the past couple of weeks, they've been aggressively pushing that out. And I have been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to fix and repair the damage that Microsoft has done to your computer. So there is, with a lot of my customers, the past, I'd say a couple of months, whenever I am working on their computer, definitely my commercial customers, there is a piece of software that you can install on your Windows 7 or 8 computer that will stop Windows 10 from popping up. And I am actually going to, let's see if I can share that. I'm going to open the software. And here it is up here. I am going to share the screen. Here it is. Okay, so this is called the GWX control panel. And the GWX control panel is a free download. And let me get the website for you. Control panel. You want to make sure that you download it from the originating website, which is called ultimateoutsider.com. And that's where you will find the software. So if you go to ultimateoutsider.com, you will see at the top of the screen the GWX control panel. Let me just make sure that's correct. GWX control panel, yeah. ultimateoutsider.com/downloads. Go ahead and put that /downloads in there. And that will take you right to the download screen. And the very first thing there is going to be the GWX control panel. I would share that screen, but I'm already sharing this one. So don't want to muck up the wires by doing something I'm not really familiar with doing. So, so once you install the GWX control panel, which it does not install anything else on your system, this is safe software. It's okay to use. So we would, and I'm not actually going to click these because I've already got Windows 10 on my computer, so I don't want to put any of these controls on. But the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to say, click to prevent Get Windows 10 app. Now, a lot of you may already have that down in the lower right-hand corner of your computer. The Windows 10 app, it's the little window icon that is 4 little squares. And if you click on that, it will give you options for installing Windows 10. That will take that app off of your system. So that's the first thing you want to do. Then you want to click to delete Windows 10 download folders. So when Microsoft starts downloading the software onto your computer, it puts it in a folder on your hard drive. And this will eliminate that folder and all of its contents. Click to change Windows Update settings. That I am going to click on. And screen sharing is stopped. Oh. All right, I guess I can't do that. So let me go back. Oh, the joys of a live radio show. So we will cancel that. Bear with me here. Maybe I can't. There we go. All right, so click to change Windows Update settings. I always go in there and I uncheck the box that says give me recommended software as well as critical software. Get rid of the recommended. Click to enable non-critical Windows 10 settings. Yours here, because I already have Windows 10, my wording is a little different here, but your wording will say click to disable non-critical Windows 10 settings. User guide, if you want to see the user guide, you can click on that. Click to prevent Windows 10 upgrades. Really important that you click on this one. This one that's grayed out says click to delete Windows 10 programs. Obviously, I don't want to do that on my system, which is why it's grayed out. But you'll want to click on that on your system as well. And then click to clear Windows Update cache. You definitely want to do that. So you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, the first 4 screens here, and then you're going to do the first 3 on this side. You don't need to enable monitor mode. So you're going to do all 3 of these. And once you've finished doing that, your system is going to be protected from installing Windows 10. That is anyway until Microsoft finds a way around this little piece of software. So it's an awesome piece of software. It's saved a lot of computers that I work on, and I'm grateful and thankful to have access to that. So that is the GWX control panel. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen. All right. So with that said, you know, I've covered a lot of ground tonight. I've talked a lot about malware and its origins, where it's coming from, how dangerous it is, the need to keep your computers updated in terms of your operating system software and third-party software, the need to keep your computers clean from unnecessary files, the need to keep unnecessary programs from running in the background on your computer, the need for really strong antivirus software, the need for malware bytes on your computer, and the oh my God, the importance of backing up your data. I cannot stress this enough, that if you have anything on your computer that would make you cry if you lost it, you need to back it up. I can't tell you how many customers I've run across who, and a lot of these are individuals. I deal with a lot of elderly people and individuals who have their computers full of photos of the grandkids, and they never back it up. And then the disaster strikes, and they get the ransomware virus, and all of those photos are encrypted. You can't get them back. Paying the ransom 9 times out of 10 isn't going to help. So keep your data backed up. The thing about ransomware, let me backtrack on ransomware. The thing about ransomware is the fact that it will encrypt data not only on your computer, but on any network drives that you might be connected to, as well as any attached hard drives. So ransomware will also encrypt the data on your backup drive if it's attached to your computer. So what do? I highly recommend that if your data is important to you, that not only do you have that backup drive, but you also deploy a third-party backup program system in place. There's a couple that I would recommend. The one that I use right now is Mozy. Carbonite is also a really good one, and there's a whole host of others out there. But they are internet-based backup programs. They have a little agent that runs on your computer that, as you add or change data to your system, it shoots it across the internet. First, it bundles it up. It wraps that little piece of data in a protective wrapper. It deploys really strong, I think 256-bit encryption on it, which is really, really strong. Sends it out through the internet to your account at Mozy or Carbonite or whatever software vendor you were using, and then it stores it on their servers there. It's all completely safe because it's wrapped in that secure wrapper as it's going through the internet. It cannot be broken into. Your data cannot be hijacked or stolen. So the ransomware viruses cannot infect your online backup data. So it cannot get into your account in Mozy or Carbonite and encrypt all that data as well. So I deploy 2 different methods in there for my backup. And I just got a question here through my chat here. The question is Dropbox as secure as Mozy or Carbonite? Yes, Dropbox is as secure as Mozy and Carbonite. It, again, deploys 256-bit encryption, and your data is totally protected. However, in the ransomware case that I dealt with a couple of months ago, that was the bit that we kind of struggled over, was the fact that we were using Box Sync instead of Dropbox, very similar product, and it because of these products, the Dropbox, the Box Sync, the OneDrive from Microsoft, your iCloud, service. All of those, the way they work is, so you sign up for your account, you have a little count on their website, and then it puts a, let's just focus on Dropbox here. It will place a Dropbox folder on your computer. So whatever you want to store in Dropbox, you move that data to the Dropbox folder. And for my purposes in my business, I've got all my data in Dropbox. I've got a paid account where I've got a terabyte of storage in Dropbox, and I'm able to I'm able to store all my data in Dropbox. But the problem here is that the ransomware will infect all the data on your computer. So you're storing a local copy of your Dropbox data in that Dropbox folder on your computer. And then when you add or change a file to that Dropbox folder, it will take a copy of that and shoot it up to your Dropbox account and store it on the website there. And then it will shoot a copy of that file down to whatever other devices you have tied to that Dropbox account. In my case, I've got my Dropbox actually on 2 computers here in my office. So I've got my files on 2 different computers. I've also got it on my iPad. So I can be out in the field working with a client, and I've got their client folder on my iPad, and I can go in there and review any documents that I may have for that client. So if the ransomware infects the file in your computer, it's then going to copy that infected file up to your Dropbox account. And pretty soon that infected file is going to be copied down to any other device, and it's going to start infecting all those files. So the beauty of Dropbox, especially with the paid accounts, is the fact that they store historical versions of your files. If a file changes, they've got the new file in the Dropbox, plus you can go back in time and get the previous version. So that's really kind of what saved us with this Dropbox, was the fact that we were able to go back in time and recover all those files that had been encrypted, because we had to totally delete those from Dropbox and from the computer. Then we recovered the older versions of the files. So Dropbox is a great thing, but just be aware of that if you are hit with ransomware, that it's also going to infect your files in your Dropbox account. I don't really recall offhand if the free versions allow you to recover previous versions of files. That would be a really good research question, and I would definitely look that up. So thanks for that question. I appreciate that. So what else? What was I talking about here before I got into the Dropbox question? So at any rate, the backup. So I'll tell you a little story about backup that happened to me. So I was talking about, the importance of backing up your system, and the fact that the ransomware will still encrypt all the data on your attached drives and your network drives, but not your online backup service. So my methodology for backup, and it's been this way for years, is I deploy the 3-2-1 backup method. 3 copies of your data. The first copy of your data is the original data sitting on your computer. The second copy is on an attached drive. So 3 copies. The third copy would be in an online backup service. And so 3 copies of your data: your computer, an attached drive, and the online backup service. The 2 stands for at least 2 different backup methods: the external backup drive and the online backup service. And the 1 means that 1 copy of that data has to be offsite. And the reason for that is in case you are, God forbid, you have a fire in your office or your home, and your computer burns up, your backup drive burns up. If you don't have a copy of your data offsite, you're toast. I didn't mean that, but anyway, burn toast. Sorry about that. So 3-2-1, 3 copies of your data on at least 2 different backup methodologies, and with at least 1 copy being offsite. So the story I was going to tell you was about 4 years ago, might have been 5 years ago. I had bought a brand new computer in February, and had it for maybe 6 months. And I had, back then I was using Carbonite as my online backup service. So I had all my data backed up in Carbonite. And I had an external hard drive attached to my computer to back up all the data on that as well. Well, keep in mind, my computer was only 6 months old. And so just think about the progression. Oh, so the first thing that happened was the external backup device died. And they die frequently. They die on a regular basis. Hard drives die on a regular basis. I deal with that all the time. So the external backup device died. And I thought, okay, I need to go out and buy a new backup device. I was really busy though. So I didn't get to it for about a week. Well, so the next thing that happened was the hard drive in my brand new 6-month-old computer decided to die as well. So here I am. I'm now left without a computer. I'm now left without my external backup device. And the only thing that saved me and saved my business at that point in time was the fact that I had everything stored on Carbonite. My laptop was under warranty, so I was able to ship it back to HP. They replaced the hard drive, put a new image of, I think back then it was Windows 7 on it, shipped it back to me. But, 10 days I had to wait for that to come back. Luckily, I am the computer diva, and I have other computers laying around that I could use. So, and I was able to get whatever data I needed off of Carbonite and onto my secondary computer so I could work. But the whole point of that story is backup, backup, backup. Please deploy a really strong, good backup program. I know eventually in my DivaCare offerings, it will also include data backup. It won't be right out of the bat, but that will be a subsequent offering that we will offer to our users. So backup is key. So with all of that said, so I was kind of doing a recap and a review. In the future, I will be letting everybody know about details of DivaCare. And we're looking for a launch in mid-July, and I'm really, really excited about it. I think it is going to totally revolutionize my business. It will revolutionize my customers' experience with their computers, and we're going to spread a whole lot of love throughout this program, a whole lot of computer love. So with that said, I am going to say thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you for joining in. I really enjoy talking about technology, and I think I may hijack Waking the Spirit again and talk about technology. Maybe it'll be a regular part of the show, but I love talking about it, and there's a lot going on, and so I can keep you all updated. So thank you so much for watching, and we will be back again 2 weeks from tonight, 7 p.m., same channel. So thanks a lot, everyone. See you later.